ladies and gentlemen, gather close. Because today we're talking about a special kind of game, one they thought they were winning, one they thought they'd mastered. They thought they were clever, moving their pieces across the board, playing mind games as if they had it all figured out. But little did they know, you were always 10 steps ahead, already seeing through their plans before they even knew what they wanted. They mistook kindness for naivety, patience for weakness. They thought they could run circles around you, pull the strings, and leave you in their dust. But now, oh now, they're the ones stumbling, lost, trying to make sense of how it all slipped from their hands. They're scratching their heads, wondering where it all went wrong, trying to find that exact moment when the control they thought they had vanished. Because the truth is, you never let them lead the game, you just played along, biding your time. You saw their moves, every single one of them. You knew their tricks, their bluffs, and yet you let them believe they were the ones in control. They thought they were the puppet masters, but in reality they were the ones tangled in strings of their own making, unaware that you were the one guiding their every step. See, you understood the rules better than they did. You didn't need to fight them to prove it. You didn't need to argue or confront them. You just let them play themselves out. Let them exhaust every tactic, every deceit, every twisted little scheme they had up their sleeve. And now, with all their energy spent, they're left wondering why none of it worked, why they couldn't shake you, break you, or bend you to their will. They're left holding the pieces of a game they thought they'd won, only to find they were the ones being played all along. They underestimated you because they saw only what they wanted to see. They looked at you and saw someone they could manipulate, someone they could control. But what they didn't see was the depth of your resilience, the strength that runs through your veins. You let them see only what you wanted them to see, and now they're haunted by the realization that they never really knew you at all. They're left asking themselves who you are, left questioning every interaction, every word, every moment, wondering how they got it so wrong. The irony is sweet, isn't it? They wanted to play games, but they didn't realize they were playing against a master. They didn't see that every move they made was part of a larger plan, a plan they weren't even aware of. You let them walk right into their own trap, watched as they built their own cage, brick by brick, until they were locked in by their own arrogance. And now, they're the ones trying to claw their way out while you stand on the outside, calm, composed, untouched. They wanted chaos, but you gave them calm. They wanted to see you break, but you stood there, unshaken, unbothered. They wanted to drag you down, but you rose above, leaving them to choke on their own fumes. They're left in a fog of confusion, desperately trying to make sense of why they failed, trying to rewrite the story to make themselves the heroes. But every time they try, they're reminded that the only one who truly understood the game was you. They thought they were the only ones with power, with control. But now, standing on the other side of it all, they see how powerless they truly were. They see how every word, every move, every plan was anticipated, calculated, and met with indifference. They're left with a bitter taste in their mouth, knowing that the very game they tried to control turned against them, all because they never bothered to see beyond their own shallow reflections. Now they're living in a world they can't navigate, a world where they're no longer the puppet masters, but the puppets, caught in a web of their own design. They wanted to win, but now they're left wondering what they even stood to gain. And in their quest for control, they lost everything that truly mattered. They lost you, and with that loss, they lost the only person who could have ever brought meaning to their hollow games. They're scratching their heads, lost in the confusion of their own creation. They're left asking themselves how they could have misjudged you so completely. Every tactic, every mind game, every cruel twist, they're all coming back to haunt them now. Every piece falling back into place, every scheme turning in on itself. They're left with nothing but questions, and not a single answer in sight. They're left with the bitter taste of their own manipulation, forced to confront the truth that you were never the one being played. Now they're wandering through the aftermath, picking up the pieces of a game they thought they'd won, trying to make sense of a world that no longer bends to their will. They're left with the echoes of their own missteps, every move they made now a reminder of just how little they understood. And you walk away with nothing but peace, leaving them with the very chaos they wanted you to drown in. They thought they could control you, but control is a funny thing. It slips right through the fingers of those who crave it the most. They thought they were the ones holding the cards, but they were just pieces on a board they didn't even understand. And now, they're left with the realization that they were never the players, but the pawns, moving according to a game plan they never saw coming. And now they're left haunted by that emptiness, a hollowness they never expected. They never anticipated that you'd vanish from their web, that you'd slip away so cleanly, leaving nothing but the stark realization of what they tried to play with. They look back and wonder if you were even real, or just a specter of their own creation. You left without a ripple, without a single clue to your next move, and that, my friends, is what has them scrambling, desperate to regain a control they never actually had. They're trying to piece together the fragments, hoping to find a reason, an explanation, something that'll soothe the nagging guilt settling into their minds. But you left no breadcrumbs, no clues, nothing for them to grasp. You took their so-called power and turned it to smoke, leaving only questions they're too afraid to answer. And that silence, oh, it's a powerful thing. It speaks volumes without a single word, and they're finally starting to understand that your quiet exit is louder than any argument or outburst ever could be. In their world, silence is submission, a sign of defeat. But yours is defiance, a statement that echoes far beyond their limited comprehension. They're finally realizing that sometimes the loudest response is no response at all. You left them to their chaos, their spiraling thoughts, to wrestle with the haunting truth that they'd lost someone they never deserved in the first place. Every time they think of you, they're reminded of that final silence, that clean, unapologetic departure that they can't explain away. As the days go on, they're finding that every interaction, every encounter, every mind game they once took pleasure in now feels like a hollow victory. Their so-called triumphs have turned to ash, and they're left trying to find meaning in a game that no longer exists. They tried to break you, to keep you tethered to their toxic cycle, but in doing so, they exposed their own flaws, their own insecurities. Now they're haunted by the realization that they lost someone they could never truly control. They'll try to move on, to bury the memory of you, to paint you as the problem. But it won't work, because every time they encounter a new player, every time they try to recreate that same dynamic, they'll be reminded of you, the one who walked away, the one who slipped through their fingers without a single glance back. They're left with an unshakable feeling, a gnawing regret that eats at them in the quiet hours of the night, a regret that will haunt them longer than any confrontation ever could. And so they'll continue their search, trying to fill the void you left behind, hoping to regain that sense of control they've long since lost. But deep down, they know it's futile. They know that the only one who ever really saw through their game has left the building. You've moved on, unbothered, untethered, while they're stuck in a loop, replaying every moment, every failed attempt to manipulate you, wishing they'd seen the truth sooner. In the end, they're left with the one thing they fear most themselves, left alone with the hollow echoes of their own games, left to face the truth they tried so desperately to hide from. And as they look around, desperate for someone to play their game with, they'll realize that it's only a matter of time before they run out of players, left with nothing but the shadow of who they thought they could control. And you, well, you're long gone, beyond the reach of their games, leaving them to confront the emptiness that's been waiting for them all along.